I thank the gentleman, and let me just take a minute to respond to my colleague who just
gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Has just made a number of points. First, there are a number of live Democrats that I like to refer to. When somebody asks me whether or not Saddam Hussein was indeed a dangerous terrorist in and of himself, I like to take the words of all of the Democrat leadership of this country in the 1990s, when, in their words, there was no Bush administration to trick them, who made that point very, very forcefully. Secondly, the invasion of Iraq and the taking of Baghdad in record time with very low casualties has been described by most military leaders as being a remarkably efficient and effective operation. In fact, while we had people saying that our troops would be bogged down, the same talk shows would be interrupted with a news flash that Tommy Franks had taken yet another stronghold of Saddam Hussein. We took Baghdad with very low casualties very, very quickly in a very effective and efficient military operation. Lastly, I don't think that the gentleman can say, and I yield myself an additional 30 seconds, I don't think the gentleman can say that there have been no ripples whatsoever in the Middle East with respect to freedom and democracy and people wanting to be free as a result of the elections in Iraq. There clearly was action in Libya where they moved lots of parts of their nuclear weapons program, which are now residing in the United States, I think as a result of American actions there. Clearly actions toward freedom, toward ejecting the Syrians from Lebanon and moving toward multi-party elections in Egypt. All imperfect, to be sure, but nonetheless reactions from our operation in Iraq. And lastly, I'd just say to my colleague, there are...
Gentleman yield himself.
I yield myself an additional 30 seconds.
Gentleman's recognized for 30 seconds.
Let me just say to my colleague, there are no smooth roads. The smooth roads not taken that have been held out by the armchair critics, like we should have kept Saddam Hussein's army in place. That was an army with 11,000 Sunni generals. Now, what are you going to do with an army with 11,000 Sunni generals? Certainly not establish stability in a country in which you have a Shiite majority. The idea that we needed to have 300,000 Americans in Iraq and yet at the same time put an Iraqi face, as a number of the critics have said, on the military apparatus. So I think a number of the gentleman's points, I yield myself just 15 seconds.
Gentleman's recognized for
Mr.
15
Speaker.
seconds.
I think a number of the gentleman's points had been strongly disproven by the American operation in Iraq. We're in the second period right now of a three-phase operation. Stand up a free government, stand up a military capable of protecting that free government. Lastly, the Americans lead. Let's give the second phase a chance to work.